All right, it's 9 o'clock. I'll call to order the September 13th meeting of the Saline County Commission. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Shadwick?
Here.
Commissioner Sparks?
Here.
Commissioner Fidrickson?
Here.
Commissioner Weiss?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Yes, ma'am.
Now if we could all stand for a flag salute and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now going to our citizens input portion. If there's anyone in the public wants to speak on county government, now's your time. Anyone? Seeing none, I'll move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of approval of public forum agenda, county commission minutes of August 16th, commission meeting minutes of August 23rd, commission minutes of August 30th, City of New Cambria Clean Water Grant application, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Saline CING grant agreement, and approval of payroll. Any commissioners want to address any of these?
I have a really quick question here for staff regarding the Big Brothers Big Sisters. I mean, there's like 50 pages of this, but is this the correct, am I reading this correctly, that it's about $13,000, a little over $13,000 is the grant?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Move approval.
Second the motion.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now move into our action items. Item 1.
Barn 3, 5, 6, and Greeley signage 2022-10 with David Flaherty II, Livestock and Expo Director.
Good morning, David.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So this morning I have for your request for action the improvements to barns 3, 5, and 6 and the new Greeley Avenue signage were identified as part of the minimum maintenance and improvement items in the lease with the City of Saline for the Livestock and the Expo Center. Bids to make these improvements were received on September 6, 2022. Pont Construction base bid $245,004.43. Hall Contracting $277,0700. Hutton Corp. $322,000 even. Added on to that, we had an alternate, which was to remove and replace exterior siding with new siding, baseboards, and base flashing on barn 5. Those added in costs were $24,000 with Ponton, $24,728.54. Hall Contracting was $4,280, and Hutton Corp was $15,050. The minimum maintenance agreement with the City of Saline called for repainting barn 5. After further evaluation of the condition of the siding, a bid addendum was issued that asked for an alternate bid to replace the siding with new siding, new 2x6 treated baseboard, and base flashing. Alternatives for action: 1. Award the bid for the new siding and repairs to barn 3, 5, and 6 and the Greeley Avenue signage to Ponton Construction in the amount of $245,004.43. 2. Award the bid for new siding and repairs to barn 3, 5, and 6, plus the alternate bid for replacement of siding to barn 5 and the Greeley Avenue signage to Ponton Construction for a total bid of $269,732.97. 3 is to reject all bids and rebid the project. Staff recommends awarding the bid to Ponton Construction for the new siding and the repairs to the barns, adding the new siding for barn 5 and the Greeley Avenue signage to Ponton Construction for a total amount of $269,732.97. And with the budget impact, Currently, there's $496,687 is earmarked in the CIP for livestock and expo center improvements. Award of this bid would leave $199,954.03. And with that, I'm open for questions.
Well, I have a couple questions. To understand the scope of this, are we reskinning barns 3, 5, and 6?
So barn 5, originally they were just going to be painted, fixed some of the panels that needed fixed and painted. We had some erosion stuff over there against barn 5, so a lot of the bottom stuff did not get seen at that point in time. So now the alternate bid on that was to put new siding on barn 5 also included.
Okay, I guess I need to ask this in a different manner. Are we painting barns 3 and 6 and replacing the siding on 5?
We're replacing siding on all 3
5 and 6,
barns.
but
Correct.
we're removing, the request is to remove the existing on barn 5 and replace it. The others, you're skinning over the old skin?
No. We bid that separate. Right, it is new siding. Barn 5 originally wasn't going to get new siding.
I see. So all 3 are going to have it replaced,
Correct,
removed and replaced.
correct.
And the signage, I haven't seen any drawings or have no idea what that signage even looks like. Sorry.
You're all right. I think we brought a picture.
It must
So
have been,
we do
it must have been a
we do have the
comical
signage.
question.
So it's not only just the signage, but it's also new fencing and landscaping too for the Greeley.
This is just a architect rendition of what,
And this sign would go where, as you come in off of Greeley?
Correct. Where our old one is right now, that would be replaced and then a new fence line coming down.
Okay. While we're looking at that, I have another question. The $269,000 that we're now reskinning these buildings, which I have to assume that that's an added cost that we weren't anticipating.
The actual added cost would be barn 5. Because the skin on barn 5 was pretty good until you actually get down to the bottom part of it. We had an issue with some rain and erosion had washed some stuff out, so now you can clearly see.
Okay, but of this $269,000, how much of it now is kind of what I'll call a surprise that we're having to spend it versus where we were anticipating?
The $24,728.
So, okay, that extra, I got you, on the top alternate.
Right.
So the 24,000 is what we're actually adding on as a cost to the whole project.
Correct.
All right, that's a lot better than my thought of 269,000.
And my question here is still, I want to come back to this deal where this signage that you've got here, that new signage, it is in a bid somewhere. That somebody has bid that into a package.
Correct.
Okay, I just don't see it anywhere involved with anything, any numbers, anything. So I just want to make sure that it's in here somewhere. Okay.
any more questions from the commission? Questions or comment from the public?
Excuse me,
Wait, we got a commission.
okay, well, I mean, well, I was going to say after you get the public, but one more question here. And all of this, does this include any of the grading and stuff, the dirt work that's going to go on?
No, sir. This is just barns 3, 5, and 6. And the signing.
Okay, and the signage. Okay.
The grading is
Well,
actually, we're getting ready to go out for bid on that. Figure, what do you think, Justin? Couple
Okay.
weeks?
But we're going to go ahead and do this barn 5 and do that where all the water stands around all this. We're going to do that before we do grading?
We're trying to get everything brought into one, tied in, and then I can work with these guys when our buildings are available.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And Mr. Chair, we have our hunting representative here. Do you have anything to add to this conversation?
Good morning, Justin.
Morning.
Justin with Hutton. So yeah, all three, or actually 4 projects are combined, the signage and the 3 barns. The grading, they will grade, the contractor will kind of knock down the grade if needed around the barns to accomplish removing and replacing the metal siding and whatnot. And so on all barns, even barn 5, we've got a treated 2x6 at the very bottom, so any future problems like we had on barn 5, that metal won't just get beat up. And so the grading around these buildings won't affect the final grading of the whole site too. So if that makes sense, clarify that. So.
Thank you.
You know, you mentioned something right there that just kind of triggered with me, and that is that so that the siding won't get beat up. Is there any way, I haven't seen anything that requires some sort of a barrier between the parking lot and the building itself, you know, as a cable or posts or something to that effect? Is that a possibility, or is that cost prohibitive, or is that even a thought? You know, because trailers back into those things pretty regularly, and if we had some sort of a barrier up there, that wouldn't be happening. I don't know what that cost would be, but that's something that you might look into and see what,
further-
you know, as we move forward.
We can look into that.
Once again, I'll ask the public if they have any questions or comment. Seeing none, I bring it back to the commission for possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we award the bid to Ponton Construction in the amount of $269,732.97 for the base bid plus the alternate bid.
Second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We do the improvements on barns 3, 5, and 6 and the Greeley signage 2022-10. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2.
Modified Corrections Hiring Retention Incentive 2022-12 with Marilyn Leamer, Human Resources Director.
Morning, Marilyn.
Good morning, Commissioners. On August 29th, the Commissioners were presented with a request for action 175-22, a hiring and retention incentive specific for corrections staff to recommend incentives to help reduce the hiring and retention challenges we're facing in the Corrections Division of the Sheriff's Office. On September 6th, the Commissioners expressed additional concerns about the payment schedule of such incentives and asked staff to present alternative options. So the alternatives for action that we came up with was, number 1, to do nothing and proceed with pursuant to that request for action, 175-22. Number 2, keep the temporary $5,000 hiring incentive and change the payout schedule in equal amounts once every 3 months over a 1-year period with completion at 1 year of employment. Employees must remain employed to receive all quarterly payments. If an employee leaves employment, they would forfeit any remaining unpaid payments. And delay the $5,000 retention incentive until contract negotiations are completed. Anticipated payout in equal monthly amounts over a monthly schedule in 2022 for the retention piece. Or number 3, direct staff to propose different options. The staff recommendation is to approve the request to temporarily increase the hiring incentive to $5,000 and provide a $5,000 retention incentive to all current jail staff, but at intervals approved by the county commissioners. The budget impact for this is the estimated financial impact for the temporary hiring incentive would be approximately $20,000 for the remainder of 2022 and $60,000 for 2023 based upon the current corrections officer vacancies. and depending on the success of the program, to attract the corrections officer candidates. And the estimated financial impact for the retention incentive would be $295,000 for 2022. And the sheriff and I are available for questions.
Mr. Chair, a question for staff. When do we anticipate that negotiations will be completed?
September 26th is when we are meeting with a mediator on that, so we hope to come to commissioners that next Tuesday
Okay.
with the results of that.
Thank you.
I would have liked to have seen this, again, broken out in two different things here because of what you have just described. I mean, I'd like to get the $5,000 hiring incentive approved and behind us, and the other part, we're going to have to delay. So, I mean, can we do that with this motion? Is that available to do that here?
I would assume so. We can make whatever motion we want. We don't have to go with the recommendation of staff. We can.
I realize that.
I have a question. I'd like to know the thought process of the quarterly payout for the incentive instead of maybe a little up front and then the rest at probation.
We can certainly do that. The probationary period for corrections officers is 1 year, so we were just going to try to spread it out evenly over that 1-year probationary period. So we can do it in any amounts. I think we were thinking equal amounts makes it a little easier for payroll processing, but we can make anything happen.
I like the fact that you've done it in a four-tiered process. You know, this looks like $1,250 for each period. That part of it, I like that.
I appreciate what you've brought to us, and I just want to still go on record as I'm not against the $5,000 payout for existing staff. I just want it done after negotiations. So, I mean, that's if this is how it reads, I'm fine with that because I don't think we're committing to that because negotiations aren't over. So,
Well, that brings my other question back to that. Are we approving the $5,000 retention until after the payroll, no matter what that comes out? That's my question. That's why I wanted that.
So you've already approved the $5,000 retention incentive. That was done back in August 9th. This suggested modification from staff would be to delay paying that out until after negotiations are completed. If you don't like the way negotiations conclude, you can always come back and rescind that. But this is just, you've already taken an action. This keeps the action on the books until after negotiations are complete.
To me, that's a pretty important clarification, and I thank you for that.
agreed.
Yes, and Mr. Chair, I want to go on record is to step back and say is that we have approved the 5,000, and we've already expended a lot of time and efforts and there to approve the $5,000 for retention and incentive both. I feel that the negotiations is completely different than what we're doing here.
Understand.
Okay.
Understand, and that's why you voted against it last week, and
right,
that's fine.
And so I just want to go on record is that I feel that we should go ahead and provide the incentive and the negotiations as that we approved begin with. So thank you for your time and efforts there, kids.
Any more comments?
Yes, in regards to Mr. Shadwick's comments, first and foremost, I don't think the negotiations have anything to do with this issue right here on the table. And as far as I'm concerned, negotiations are already done. We funded the WSU study for all employees of the county. It's in the 23 budget that's also been approved. And if we alter any of this stuff in regards to the retention incentive, bottom line is, we're backpedaling and we're sending mixed messages to these correction officers. And the facts are, we need the officers, and if this works, then we should go ahead and stick with our August 9th original motion. Vote, I'm sorry.
I would just say that messages are a two-way street.
And I'll also add that negotiations are not complete.
They are not.
It's right here in black and white. Negotiations are not complete on the wage study yet. So I think that's a pretty important issue as we move forward with the budget, you know.
I would like to say that I feel a need to be receptive and responsible to the taxpayer at the same time. And to spend $295,000 in 2022, and if negotiations should go differently than what we have proposed, we could be talking another half a million dollars of salary in 2023. That would be plenty of incentive at that time for those same individuals. It's like you're doing it twice. You have to put one behind you before you can approach the other one. And until the negotiations are done, I feel the taxpayers deserve better monitoring of these funds, and I'd like to hold off until which time negotiations have finished.
And my question to Phil, again, is just the one word in there, and delay. That's exactly what we're going to be doing, correct? To accomplish what he wants. We're delaying that. We have approved it, as they've mentioned, but we're delaying that payment, and we can go forward at some point in time, 30 days from now, or whatever we get the negotiations completed, we can vote to rescind that. I assume.
That sounded more like a statement than a question, but yes, I agree with what you just said, Commissioner.
Any more comments from the commissioners?
No.
I'd sure like to hear from our sheriff.
Well, I think pretty well said everything that I had to say last time, but it is, this seems to be working. We've had more applicants since we put this into effect than we had all year prior. And I can say that last Friday, there were some disappointed employees because I'd sent them out the message that this was going to be coming. So I don't know what's going to happen from this. It's up to you guys to make that decision. But we got a staff that I really depend on, and I really want to keep them.
You have had applications, Roger. Have you had any hires?
We've got 5 in the process. But whether they, I don't know what their backgrounds will pan out. You know, we have.
How long does that, does it, from the application point to the hire point, how does that?
6 to 8 weeks.
8 weeks? Wow.
Which does cost us some employees because they find other jobs.
Right, well.
That said, you need to hire the right people.
Is that something in?
And we've done a lot to move that along, to speed that process up, but it is a process.
That was my question. Is that a process?
it used to be
because
longer.
of law enforcement or because of Saline County?
No, it's law enforcement in general.
And usually a couple of those weeks is if they're currently employed and they're given a 2-week notice to their
No, I get it.
employer, so.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more comments from the commission? Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we modify RFA 175-22 and do as follows under alternative for action number 2.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we move on modified corrections, hiring, retentions, incentive 2022 with alternate number 2. Everybody understands what number 2 is here?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Hey.
Motion carries 3-2. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to, we're into informational items. Item number 1.
Jail project update with Philip Smith Haynes, County Administrator.
I think Lauren's going to bring up some slides here for me. So this is our monthly jail update, and there's honestly not a lot to talk about because there hasn't been a lot of change this past month in terms of change orders or other things, but there is a lot to show. So I thought I'd just run through the slides, and these are the slides that were included in the commissioners' packets, but for the public, this is one of the housing units, so you can see that they are starting to fill in between the precast cells with block. Those are for the shower units and the toilets, and they've got that mezzanine. If you go on to the next slide, Lauren. These are the walls that are being erected to separate the day rooms from the housing units. These are going to be some 35 feet tall. I think one of them is completed on site and another 2 are under construction. It's quite a process. Go on to the next slide. So this just shows some of the roofing that is occurring. It's starting to look more and more like a single building rather than a conglomeration of little pods. Next slide. This is in the booking area here. You see the temporary holding cells and then the roof area. You can go on. This is the roof over the lobby area, and there'll be another slide coming up with a little bit better picture of it. This is the interior. This is really a view of the office space area. Go on. And this is that view I was talking about, the little bit better view of the lobby roof. And those precast panels on either end, and these are the sort of fancier panels. They have the more texture to them than the ones on the opposite side, which will be the housing units. So that's pretty much it for this month. Like I said, not a lot of big changes out there, but a lot of significant construction progress. So be happy to answer questions about where we are with the jail.
Are we still pretty much on schedule?
Yes, there have been no further weather delays, or at least there weren't. And I think the only rain we had was on Saturday, so that shouldn't have affected. But yeah, we hadn't had any more weather delays since June.
And hopefully the accident that happened out there was, the guys coming along okay?
Yep.
All right. Questions of the administrator? We'll go to item number 2.
County Administrator's update with Philip Smith Haynes, County Administrator.
So, just a couple conferences. First off, a reminder, next week is the International City County Management Association, so I will not be here. You will be in Hannah's capable hands on Tuesday, but I will be working, just not here in town. And then we have the KAC conference coming up, and there are 2 items that we need to designate to some of you all to represent the county for. There's K-Work, which is our workers' compensation pool, and that one, I think I really need a motion or a consensus from you today, because that one is due back to them next week. The other one, KAC, if you want to think about that one for another week, the official voting delegate, that one's not due till the 1st of October. But if I
I
could get
move that
somebody to-
Roger Sparks be appointed to both of those.
Second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that Commissioner Sparks be our voting delegate to KWRCC and KAC. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Be more than happy to.
All right, that carries 5-0.
All right, thank you. That's all I had for today.
All right, item number 3, Commissioners' comments. One short comment. I attended a Skeeto meeting a while back, and one point came out there that kind of caught my attention, and that was the unemployment rate in Saline County is at, I think, 2.6, somewhere in there, which came out to about 1,000 jobs. And currently, they said there are over 2,500 job openings. So it shows you that we have all the jobs we need, and we just don't have the workforce to fill them. So
Agreed.
that really stood out in my mind. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll move on to item number 4.
Announcements?
Announcements from anyone? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.